Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Navayana, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Navayana. Gauranga,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Gauranga,
Jaya Jaya Srila
Hari Bol
Prabhupada,
Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Srila
Hari
Prabhupada,
Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya Gurudev.
Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev, Jaya Jaya Srila Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Gurudev,
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Paramahamsa.
Hari Bol Krishna,
Jaya Jaya
Hari
Siddhaswarupananda,
Bol Krishna,
Paramahamsa.
Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa, Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namaste. Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gaura Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestayate.
Haribol Namaste. So we'll read the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So the pastimes of the Supreme Person is about his pleasure, his enjoyment. And his enjoyment is about his love for us. He comes, he descends to this material world for his care and compassion upon us, and also to fulfill the desire of the devotees who, in a situation wherein they are completely surrendered to the Supreme Person. So Lord Krishna comes to fulfill, to placate or give this balm to the heart of the devotee for protection. Sa struggle natin dito sa material world, by the use of material energy to ascend to God, it is impossible. That even though we try to get out of this body through Astanga Yoga or meditating upon the impersonal aspect of God, still we cannot enter the eternal world of the Supreme Person. So this is the process that Lord Krishna himself, he comes here, he descends to this material world, and 5,000 years ago, through the narrative of the spiritual master, the saintly person, especially the teachings in Srimad Bhagavatam and all Vedic scriptures put into writing by Lord Vyasadeva and passed on to all of us here. If we follow the process and be guided by the science of devotional service, then we can come to the point wherein we can connect our life, our heart with Krishna or Govinda's love for us through devotion. So the problem we face here is all the influence of illusion or Maya, material nature. And the venue is the mind. And we try to assess God or try to pursue and know about God with our mind. So illusion puts so much unlimited, blocks that we are always in doubt. Why is that? Because we have been covered by material nature, by Maya or illusion. That's why we are doubting, because the faculty we use is material, and we're trying to understand a different energy, spiritual life, and the source of life. And the person who is the supreme, all-powerful, who has inconceivable potency, who is all-attractive, we call him Krishna. Okay? He has all the attractive attributes: beauty, fame, knowledge, compassion, renunciation, and especially his affection towards those who are in humbleness, taking shelter of him and communicating with him with their heart, with their life. So yun yung key talaga sa spiritual life natin, sa buhay natin. We must communicate with the Supreme Person under the guidance of the spiritual master with our heart, with our life. So if we try to ascend to God, then all these doubts will be bombarded with all these doubts coming from Maya. So where our faith will not be very fixed, because we will not be able to communicate with the Supreme Person with our heart. So Lord Krishna tells us in Bhagavad Gita, if one offers me with love and devotion a little fruit, a little flower, a little water, I will accept it. So it is connected with our life, with our heart, with our love. So that is the medium we should be communicating with the Supreme Person. But the problem, all of us are selfish. We just want to do our own will, to fulfill our desires. That's why we cannot enter that transcendental world free from suffering. Because our meditation is based upon the object of suffering, this body, my control. Because we are limited, we are very selfish, and our focus is ourselves. And especially when you identify with the body and you're ignorant of your true identity. So we suffer a disconnection between our love, which we are directing towards ourselves. Yun ang point doon eh. We are very selfish. Kaya no matter what struggle you do, no matter how much you deny someone who is in control, someone who dictates, who has inconceivable potency, who can communicate to you, to us, and give us freedom, and give us this connection we're longing for, our affection and love that is inseparable from us, because we are so contaminated with false ego. The false ego means I am the center. I am all alone, the controller. So it must be purified. This false ego or ignorance must be cut off with the process that the Supreme Person, the Supreme Purifier, descending from Parampara or the spiritual master, he assists us. So all what we have to do is to receive it. Just like if there's this process of purification of the mind and the heart. It's called mantra meditation. Man means mind. Tra means to draw the mind away from matter. Because we have been so much conditioned, our whole focus is this body, this matter. And we are trying to sort it out. We are trying to sort out the problem with an element that is completely different, or faculties that is perverted, contaminated, and directed upon by illusion or Maya. So that's a problem. So the hearing and the process in Kali Yuga is the hearing process that purifies the heart and the mind. So now, we've been discussing last time about the glories of God. So I'll read here the advent of Lord Krishna so we can have clarity why He comes to this world, why He relates to us, and who we really are, and what direction we should be directing our lives. So, if we receive this knowledge, meaning the direction of our lives, my life, will be under the guidance of God. But if we deny this, we don't receive this knowledge, which is very clear, and a process that will purify us to be able to see and hear the Lord within the heart and see the reality that we belong to God. Everything here belongs to the Supreme Person. Then, if the focus is simply our own will, what we want to do, which is being directed by a force greater than us, material nature. The advent of Lord Krishna, the coming of Lord Krishna. So here, the coming of Lord Krishna was during His pastimes in Vrindavan. Now, we are following a process that the advent of Lord Krishna is being passed on by the disciplic succession, saintly person, Parampara, and Lord Krishna, who comes as Lord Chaitanya, the embodiment of Radha and Krishna, in complete meditation upon this rasa or flavor of love between Radha and Krishna. He comes and He gives us this guidance how we can achieve that meditation or that focus. Okay. Once the world was overburdened by unnecessary defense force of different kings, who were actually demons, but were posing themselves as royal order. At the time, the whole world became perturbed, and the predominating deity of this earth, known as Bhumi, went to see Lord Brahma to tell of her calamities due to the demoniac kings. Bhumi assumed the shape of a cow and presented herself before Lord Brahma with tears in her eyes. She was bereaved and was weeping just to invoke the Lord's compassion. She related the calamitous position of earth, and after hearing this, Lord Brahma became much aggrieved, and he at once started for the ocean of milk, where Lord Vishnu resides. Lord Brahma was accompanied by all the demigods, headed by Lord Shiva, and Bhumi also followed. Arriving at the shore of the milk ocean, Lord Brahma began to pacify the Lord Vishnu, who formerly saved the earthly planet by assuming the transcendental form of a boar. Don't you notice there is an ocean of salt water? Don't you notice also there are also lakes, okay, of sweet water? So here, Lord Brahma went to this ocean of milk. In the Vedic mantras, there is a particular type of prayer called Purusa Sukta. Generally, the demigods offer their obeisances unto Vishnu, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by chanting the Purusa Sukta. It is understood herein that the predominating deity of every planet can see the Supreme Lord of this universe. Brahma, whenever there is some disturbance on his planet, and Brahma can approach the Supreme Lord Vishnu, not by seeing him directly, but by standing on the shore of the ocean of milk. There is a planet within this universe called Setat B, and on that planet there is an ocean of milk. It is understood from various Vedic literature, just as there is the ocean of salt water within this planet, there are various kinds of ocean in other planets. Somewhere there is an ocean of milk, somewhere there is an ocean of oil, and somewhere there is an ocean of liquor, and many other types of oceans. Purusa Sukta is the standard prayer which the demigods recite to appease the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krsna Dakasai Vishnu, because he is lying on the ocean of milk, he is called Siro Dakasai Vishnu. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead through whom all the incarnation within this universe appear. After all the demigods offered the Purusa Sukta before the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they apparently heard that no response. Then Lord Brahma personally sat in meditation, and there was a message transmission from Lord Vishnu to Lord Brahma. Brahma then broadcast the message to the demigods. That is the system of Vedic knowledge. The Vedic knowledge is received first by Brahma from the Supreme Personality of Godhead through the medium of the heart, as stated in the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam. The transcendental knowledge of the Vedas was transmitted to Lord Brahma through the heart. Here also, in the same way, only Brahma could understand the message transmitted by Lord Vishnu, and he broadcasts it to the demigods for their immediate action. The message was, the Supreme Personality of Godhead will appear on earth very soon, along with the supreme powerful potencies. And as long as he remains on earth to execute his mission of annihilating the demons and establishing the devotees, the demigod should also remain there to assist him. They should all immediately take birth in the family of the Yadu dynasty, wherein the Lord will also appear in the course of time. The Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna, personally appeared as the son of Vasudeva. Before he appeared, all the demigods along with their wives appeared in different payus. Families in the world just to assist Lord in executing his mission. The exact word used here is tarparitram, which means the demigod should appear on earth in order to please the Lord. In other words, any living entity who lives only to satisfy the Lord is a demigod. The demigods were further informed the plenary portion of Lord Krishna Ananta, who is maintaining the universal planets by extending his millions of food, would also appear on earth before Lord Krishna's appearance. They were also informed that the external potency of Vishnu, Maya, with whom all the conditioned souls are enamored, would also appear just to execute the purpose of the Supreme Lord. So all the demigods who are servants of the Supreme Person, they're called demigods. And those who are completely against the will and who are imitating the Lord are demons. Okay. After instructing and pacifying all the demigods as well as Bhumi with sweet words, Lord Brahma, the father of all the Prajapatis or progenitors of universal population, departed for his own abode, the highest material planet called Brahmaloka. The leader of the Yadu dynasty, King Surasena, was ruling over the country known as Mathura, the district of Mathura, as well as the district known as Surasena. On account of the rule of King Surasena, Mathura became the capital city of all kings of the Yadu dynasty. Mathura was also made the capital kings of the Yadu dynasty, because the Yadus were very pious family and knew that Mathura is the place where Lord Sri Krishna lives eternally, just as he also lives in Dwarka. Sri Krishna lives eternally, just as he also lives in Dwarka. Once upon a time, Vasudeva, the son of Surasena, just after marrying Devaki, was going home on his chariot with his newly wedded wife. The father of Devaki, known as Devaka, had contributed a sufficient dowry because he was very affectionate towards his daughter. He had contributed hundreds of chariots, completely decorated with gold equipment. And at the time, Kamsa, the son of Ugrasena, in order to please his sister, Devaki, had voluntarily taken the reins of the horses of Vasudeva's chariot and was driving according to the custom of Vedic civilization. When a girl is married, The brother takes the sister and brother-in-law to their home. Because the newly married girl may feel too much separation from her father's family, the brother also goes with her until she reaches her father-in-law's house. The full dowry contributed by the Baka as follows: 400 elephants, fully decorated with golden garlands, 15,000 decorated horses, 1,800 chariots. He also arranged for 200 beautiful girls to follow his daughters. The Kshatriya system of marriage, still current in India, dictates that when Kshatriya or warrior, who is a warrior, is married, a few dozen of the bride's young girls, friend, in addition to the bride, goes to the house of the king. The followers of the queen, also called maidservant, but actually they act as friends of the king, the queen. This practice is prevalent from time immemorial, traceable at least to the time before the advent of Lord Krishna, 5,000 years ago. So Vasudeva brought home another 200 beautiful girls along with his wife. While the bride and the bridegroom were passing along on the chariot, there was different kinds of musical instrument playing to indicate the auspicious moment. There were conch shells, bugles, drums, and kettle drums. Combined together, they were vibrating a nice concert. The procession was passing very pleasingly, and Kamsa was driving the chariot when suddenly there was a miraculous sound vibrated from the sky, which specially announced to Kamsa, "Kamsa, you are such a fool. You are driving the chariot of your sister and your brother-in-law, but you do not know that the eighth child of this sister will kill you." Kamsa was the son of Ugrasena of the Bodja dynasty. It is said that Kamsa was the most demoniac of all Bodja dynasty kings. Immediately after hearing the prophecy from the sky, he called hold of Devaki's hair. Okay. Yeah. And was just about to kill her with this word. Vasudeva was astonished at Kamsa's behavior. And in order to pacify the cruel, shameless brother-in-law, he began to speak as follows. With great reason and evidence, he said, "My dear brother-in-law Kamsa, you are the most famous king of the Bodja dynasty, and people know that you are a greater warrior and a valiant king. How is it that you are so infuriated that you are prepared to kill a woman who is your own sister at the auspicious time?" Infuriated, he became very angry. Okay? Death is already born along with your birth. From the very day you took your birth, you began to die. Suppose you are 25 years old, that means you have already died 25 years. Every moment, every second, you are dying. Why then should you so much be afraid of death? Final death is inevitable. You may either die today or in 100 years. You cannot avoid death. Why should you be so much afraid? Actually, death means annihilation of the present body. As soon as the present body stops functioning and mixes with the 5 elements of material nature, the living entity within the body accepts another body, according to its present action and reaction. It is just as when a man walks on the street, he puts forward his foot, and when he is confident that his foot is situated on sound ground, he lifts the other foot. In this way, one after another, the body changes and the soul transmigrate, pass to another body. Okay, transmigration. Okay. See how the plantworm changed from one twig to another so carefully. Similarly, the living entities change his body as soon as the higher authorities decide his external body. Alam yung plantworm? Yung caterpillar ba? He goes from one leaf to another, okay? As long as the living entity is conditioned by material nature, he must take material bodies up one after another. His next particular body is offered by the laws of nature, according to the accounts, action, and reaction of his life. Whatever Lord Krishna tells us in Bhagavad Gita, whatever state of consciousness one remembers at the time of death, that state he will attain. And there are 8,400,000 species of life, beginning with the demigods up to the lowly, maggots. This body, is this. His next particular body is offered by the laws of nature, according to the action and reaction of his life. The body is exactly like one of the bodies which we always see in dreams. During our dream of sleep, we create so many bodies according to mental creation. We have seen gold, we have seen mountains. So in a dream, we can see a golden mountain. And by combining the two ideas, sometimes in dreams, we see that we have a body which is flying in the sky. And at the same time, we completely forget our present body. Similarly, these bodies are changing. When you have one body, you forget the past body. During a dream, we may make contact with so many new kinds of bodies. But when we are awake, we forget all of them. And actually, these material bodies are the creation of mental activities. But at the present moment, we do not recollect our past bodies. The reason we have this body, because we have the mind. And the mind is the seat of the desire. So if our meditation is upon this material world, then definitely and absolutely we will have again another material body. So if we are suffering here because of our connection with this body, then obviously, clearly, the reason we are suffering because of this covering of this body. And this body is connected with time, birth, death, disease, and knowledge. The suffering caused by the body, the mind, other living entities, and material nature. We are all inside this body, this machine. We are the experiencer of all the sensual experience we experience, the mental experience we see through the mind, and how we use our intelligence. Is it clear sa inyo? The nature of the mind is flickering. Flickering yung kumikitap, kutitap, flickering ba? Sometimes it accepts something and immediately it rejects the same thing. Accepting and rejecting is the process of the mind. Accepting something, rejecting something. The mind in contact with the 5 objects of sense gratification. Ano yung 5 objects of sense gratification? The eyes, the nose, the tongue, the sensual pleasure, and the genitals, the hearing, the seeing, the tasting, the feeling, So you can see you are inside this body. Sensual pleasure are experienced through the senses. If you identify yourself as the body, definitely you will be guided by the force that is very powerful, material nature. So if you are influenced by the mode of passion, you will be tending to focus upon enjoying the senses. If you are influenced by the mode of goodness, you experience this calmness in your heart. You experience tranquility. But if you're influenced by the mode of ignorance, you tend to be covered by ignorance and you're always sleeping and under intoxication. Your senses are very dull, numb. Alam yung dull? Numb. Kaya, it's like when you wake up, it's like a rubber ba yung mind nyo. You want to go back to sleep. You experience that, all of you. You are the experiencer. So now you ask this question. You're experiencing all the pain and the pleasure. So the devotee is someone, yung devotee who is transcendental to this material world, this material nature. He's not aroused when there's sensual pleasure. He also not reject. He's not in anxiety when there's suffering. Because he's transcendental to all this material consideration. That is the pure loving servant of God, the saintly person. And then he guides us to enter that dimension that we can put ourselves through the process, because we can use the senses to purify us by applying the teachings of our spiritual master connected with our love, by offering everything back to the Supreme Person. Is it clear? You live for the pleasure of the Supreme Person. The materialist or the person suffering who is so much lost, he lives for his own self, his own sensual pleasure. He is a very selfish person. Okay? He does not want to give anything. When he does something, even though you know already you do something, you don't do anything if you don't get something. Spiritual service is different. Service as the end itself. When you offer, that's it. It's the beginning, it's the end, because it connects you with the source of pleasure. That is the difference between a materialist and a spiritualist. The nature of the mind is flickering. Sometimes it accepts something and immediately it rejects the same thing. Accepting and rejecting is the process of the mind in contact with the five objects of sense gratification: form, taste, smell, and sound, and touch. In its speculative way, ibig sabihin, katang-isip, the mind comes in touch with the object of sense gratification. And when the living entity desires a particular type of body, he gets it. Therefore, the body is an offering by the laws of material nature. The living entity accepts a body and comes out again in the material world to enjoy or suffer according to the construction of the body. For example, you're so inclined to surfing, okay? You like to become like the dolphin, okay? O kaya, then, that is your meditation, okay? You're always surfing. Then, material nature, if you're not, if you're unfortunate, you focus your senses in this material world, you'll be having another body, okay? If you're so much attached to this mode or the influence of this mode, then you can take the body, you'll be given the body of a dolphin. You can swim, okay, the ocean. Or if you like to fly, yung mga glide diver, okay, you can be given a body of a bird. That's why in your dream, sometimes you're flying, okay? In your dream, sometimes you're swimming, but when you wake up, you become aware, you forget everything. You cannot distinguish, you cannot have this total recall of the innumerable experience you did experience in different bodies. And all those experiences are embedded in the mind. Okay? Therefore, the body is an offering by the laws of material nature. The living entity accepts a body and comes out again in the material world to enjoy or suffer to the construction of the body. Unless we have a particular type of body, we cannot enjoy or suffer according to our mental proclivities inherited from previous life. The particular type of body is actually offered to us according to our mental condition at the time of death. Okay? The luminous planet like the sun, moon, or stars reflect themselves in different types of reservoirs, like water, oil, or ghee. The reflection moves according to the movement of the reservoir. The reflection of the moon is on the water, and the moving water makes the moon also appears to be moving. But actually, the moon is not moving. Similarly, the mental concoction the living entity attains in different kinds of body, although actually he has no connection with such bodies, but on account of illusion, being enchanted by the influence of Maya, the living entity thinks that he belongs to a particular type of body. That is the way of conditioned life. Okay? So ngayon, yung katanungan last time, yung babae tawag ng tawag, bakit daw tayo nagdadasal, holy, saintly, pupunta sa simbahan, bakit tayo nagsasuffer? So ang point niya, bakit kung may Diyos, bakit siya hindi compassionate? Bakit siya malupit? Okay? Kasi wala nga sila sa mundo ng transcendental world of pure loving devotion. Ang focus nila is about this conditional material world and sensual enjoyment. Kaya they identify with the body and the pleasure that they're longing to experience with their mental concoction does not, adhere or in a way come to the point of their expectation Expectation ba? Kagaya, ganito, I'll tell you something, okay? You try to mentally speculate about enjoyment, okay? Okay, you want to experience a certain sensual experience. Okay, for example, I give two example. You want to experience sensual pleasure through the tongue, the taste, okay? And you see the advertisement through YouTube, to the TV, and you want to taste that food, okay? But you don't have that money or capacity. You're very poor, okay? But you're working. So you try to save and save and save. So someday you can enter that restaurant and buy what you think will give pleasure to you through your senses. Okay? You put so much effort and time. And then when you save, you bring your family and let's dine together. Okay? You eat and eat and eat, and after a while, after tasting it, it's gone. Tapos na. You have tongue warp. Alam yung tongue warp? Your stomach is full, but still you're not satisfied. You experience that. Kaya nga, so much effort, guided or projected, or the impetus comes from Maya or illusion, and you go for it. You waste your time, you put so much energy, and your resources that is given to you, temporarily given to you, this body, the energy which is given to you by God, through what you take, through metabolism, the air, the food, everything that's here, you just misuse it to follow and be enslaved by the senses. Is it clear? So let's put it in this way. So a person who is promiscuous, he cannot control his horses. Okay? He's so much attached to sexual contact. But actually, sexual contact is for progeny. Progeny ba? To have a child. But because the living entity wanted to experience joy, and he identifies himself as the body. And in this material world, the highest pleasure everybody here will experience is this flickering experience of sexual release, fluid release through sexual intercourse. But to be able to experience that, you have to put so much effort, okay? So much effort just for this flickering enjoyment. So if you are identifying yourself as the body, you're looking for happiness, and then you actually, that is an actual doing of trying to release your anger. Your anger. You're motivated, influenced by lust, matinding pagnanasa, and is directed upon this word. So a person cannot control his sources, his genitals. Okay? He goes around, if he's wealthy, he goes around to the prostitution, to all this, to the mistress, and let the horses go. Okay? But when he works so hard on the daytime, all the resources that he mustered, okay, to be able to, for example, to have a mistress, okay, so he buys a whole house and everything, and then he goes there to experience this flickering enjoyment. You understand? So when he's there, you have this release, it's gone. And still, you want more. Okay? Because the person is looking for happiness, and the direction of search for happiness is through the senses, and you are not the genitals. Understand? That's why you're frustrated. You're very angry. Anger from lust, anger arises. Yeah? Why anger arises? Because you're frustrated in the direction of trying to fulfill what is life, what is living, what is a relationship through sensual enjoyment. Okay. And a person, that's why a person like this in the Vedic system, at the young age, brahmacharis are trained to control their horses, to be celibate. Okay, to be celibate. To give you an example, the more you scratch, the more you get itchy. Understand? The more you let the horses go, the more the horses will go wild. Why? Because your focus is in the wrong direction. Like wrong way Corrigan. You're searching for happiness and the source of happiness that you're longing, hinahanap natin, ay misdirected through the senses. And you're not the body. Understand? And even though you know you're not the body and you know your spirit soul and you try to squeeze happiness through the senses, but because you are not the supreme enjoyer and you are limited, you're not God. You're not the supreme source of happiness. So you try to squeeze happiness through all of this sensual enjoyment, a misdirection, then you end up, you lose your intelligence. That's why people, now have you seen in jail? So many instances, okay? Those who seemingly honorable, mayor, they go and rape. Yeah? Have you noticed news like who's this guy? He's the mayor, okay? He rapes someone. And then they kill that person out of anger, okay? So from lust, anger arises. You try to fulfill it. You become frustrated. You know, from lust, sense perception, a misdirection, you become frustrated when you are in the wrong direction and you become very angry and unsatisfied. That's why you lose your intelligence. That's why this crime of passion, after engaging in sexual contact, they mutilate the body. Okay? Nakikita ba niyo yung mga palabas na pinapakita? The rapist, okay? He cannot control his horses. He's very angry, okay? He rapes. There is a force, because we are not here to condemn bad, sin yan. No. We are here to give clarity to what is wholesome, our true world that is transcendental to this material world. Everything belongs to God. The problem is that it becomes polluted when we try to imitate God, when we try to play Lord. Okay? Surrogate mother. Alam niyo surrogate mother? My daughter, okay? My son, okay? I will protect you. But if you look closely, relation is contaminated. My son, I owe you, okay? Now you're serving someone? You're serving God? No. You should follow my will, okay? You owe me, okay? Alam mo, you owe me? Okay? You owe me. Okay? May utang ka sa akin. Kaya, hindi nila sinasabi, I love you, but I will use you for my intent. Whatever I want. That is perverted. Because that is not love. You know, that is a utilitarian, narcissistic consciousness when we try to imitate God. Okay? Kaya yung parent, nakita nyo yesterday we discussed. What did we discuss? Naawa ka sa anak mo kasi lahat ng mga bata may bagong Android. Bigyan mo rin. Kasi kawawa naman, ang dala-dala niya yung hindi Android, 3001, yung may antena pa. Okay? Pag nagte-text, nagtatago. Okay? So, pag may cellphone ka na Android, okay? Kaya pag nakatayo ka doon, lahat naka-selfie, di ba? Look what I got. Okay? I am the center. Selfish. Because you're not God, you're not self-sufficient, you're lost. You'll not be happy. The only person who is fulfilled is someone who is in harmony under the shelter and protection of the supreme lovable person, Krishna, Govinda. So, Lord Krishna came here 5,000 years ago. Lord Chaitanya came here also 500 years ago. And He leaves us. He did not leave us. He's still here, the holy names. So Lord Krishna, 5,000 years ago, He said, just surrender unto me and I'll protect you. That even though the demons are there, everybody, they're all liberated. Because God's love is unconditional. His compassion is for everyone. Okay? He loves everyone. Either you're a demon or you don't love Krishna, He loves you. Okay? He protects you. Okay? Now, Lord Chaitanya, Krishna comes. And He's the most magnanimous. Alam mo, magnanimous? Mapagbigay. That even though we are lost in this material world, very selfish, He comes to purify us. The holy names. Kaya if you hear the holy names of God coming down from the lips of someone who is non-different from Him, who is inseparable from Him, the pure loving servant, then even though, for example, you're so stupid, you don't want, but you have heard the holy names, then you leave this world. Then somewhere along the line, you continue where you stop. But why? Why gamble? Okay? Why gamble when you're given this human form of life? By God's mercy. This human form of life is a life of responsibility when you can make a decision in your life to make the decision to serve and love God, to connect your life, your heart. To see God, it's not with the mind. We must have a pure heart. Okay? A brave heart. The living entity. You can make a stand to do what is pleasing to Krishna. Without pleasing the spiritual master or Krishna, there is no other, there's no life other than pleasing God. Don't you notice when you come here, you're not charged? You follow every process. Every process, supposedly, because the system is like that you have tithing. But the tithing, because they're posing as representative of God. Meaning, if you offer to them, you're giving to God. Is it clear? But what if that person is not the representative of God? And you can see, they get money, they buy cars, land, okay? What do they do with the money? So it's very important that we follow someone and offer to God, the representative of God. But the representative of God, he doesn't need anything. You cannot give him anything. He has everything. Krishna. What does he want? Okay? He tells you, give your life to God. Give your love to Krishna. Okay? And he gives us this. On one hand, he shows us our predicament. Yung problema natin. Yung problema natin, birth, death, disease, and knowledge. How we are separated. How we have no shelter. How we are suffering. On the other hand, he shows us his pastimes. Wherein you can enter the transcendental world. But it is an experience you must experience. You yourself must experience it. Hindi pwedeng, si Brinda, kumakain ng mangga, ang dami, mango plot. But are you experiencing the mango plot? Okay? Nakatingin ka lang. Okay? We talk about getting out of the ocean of misery. Pero nandun ka pa rin. And siya sumakay na. Okay? There's this bandwagon wherein Lord Chaitanya is and his associate. Because Lord Krishna, before coming, he advised all his servants that before he comes, they come here to assist him. So all those living entities came here, the devotees of God, to assist Lord Krishna. It is an invitation to all of you, to all of us who are in this material world. So, what we should do, we should be coming to the point wherein in humbleness we see our predicament, that we need someone to protect us. Not the mind, but rather our heart now through the process in Kali Yuga, the purificatory process of God descending as the holy name purifies our heart. So we relate to God with our heart, with our love. That is the way to relate to God, with your love. Not with what you think you have. You go to church, Lord, I offer you this. What can you offer to Krishna? It belongs to Him. You don't own anything. You think you own something? No. That is the devotee of God teaching us how to relate to God in purity, which is in a truest sense, it is about harmony with the pleasure of God, because He is our well-wisher. That's why He comes. He comes to enjoy, but also to give us pleasure when we engage our love for His pleasure. Because now we are connected with the source of pleasure. The reason we are suffering, we are empty-hearted, because we're not connected with the source of happiness. Krishna, our connection is with this material world, a different energy. Be real and understand the truth. If you just close your eyes, you just be lazy, then this is the place for us. Okay? This drowning desert world, you're drowned with the heat, dying. Okay? No air. And every day, you're just roaming around, looking. And then time comes, because your time and tide waits for no man. You're in this body, then you leave the body, you come back again, another, on and on. You're so attached to your son. For example, there's this story of a very rich man. He's so rich, so wealthy, and then he left the body. He came back. No. And he came back to his house. But the sons, in their different body, drove him away. Understand? You had, all of you had so many father, mother, surrogate son. Okay? Maya, this is the word of Maya, your string from head to toe. Okay? From, not only, with all the senses, with the mind, covered. Ibig sabihin, kumbaga sa delata, na sardinas, nasa loob ka. Wala kang magagawa. Okay? Then someone comes, open that door. Is it clear? But we are not appreciating it when we are so contaminated with this envy, with this hard-heartedness of trying to be alone. You want to be alone, to be Lord? Then so be it. That is your problem. Is it clear? So if you will not receive this knowledge, then ask this question, what do you really want? Okay? What do you really want? So, it is, You want to learn the hard way? Fine. Until an intelligent person, alam mo yung matalino? He listens from authority. Ano yung authority? Yung nakakaalam. And the authority is God, the saintly person, and the scripture, the word of God. And a less intelligent person is someone who will learn through experience. Hindi totoo na you will learn through experience. Yes, you will learn the hard way. Mamatay ka, birth, death, disease, and knowledge, the cycle of birth and death. You love someone, that someone is taken away from you. Or you're taken away from that someone you love. Okay? You want to, anything. This is the word of suffering and pain, this world. That's why Krishna comes to bring us back home. But there is this ticket. Isa lang yung ticket. Your life, your love. And you must learn that from someone who is a transcendental, saintly person, completely loving the Supreme Person with pure unalloyed devotional service. Just like the Son of God who came here. Ano yung pinaka-teaching niya? Love the Father with thy whole heart, thy whole mind, thy whole being. And second unto that, love your brothers, your sister, as you love yourself. Is it clear? So, who will give you this wisdom? God Himself. If you're sincere, you'll succeed. Okay? You'll succeed. Don't ever think na to be able to succeed, you must be perfect. You must be top of the line, the great devotee, the pure devotee. No. Ano yung prayer na yon? Prayer? One can chant the holy names of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking himself lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than the tree, and devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respects to others. Because when you pray this prayer of Lord Chaitanya, and you follow the process of Sankirtan, then the holy names will be the one to protect you. Protect you from what? From separation, from this pleasure of rendering loving service to God. Okay? Is it clear? Haribol Namaste. Okay? May prayer si Srila Prabhupada. Alam niyo yung prayer niya? Dito sa mundo kasi dito, napansin ba niyo, karamihan ng congregation, everybody wants to be the pastor. Huh? Everybody wants to be the one speaking. Okay? The devotee's prayer is like this, connected with the third prayer of Lord Chaitanya. Okay? Ano yun? Nichalila? Not trying to get ahead or be the best devotee, yet using all the initiative to serve. That does sit the devotee closest to my heart. So yung devotee, tinanong ngayon si Lord Chaitanya, who are you? Are you a sannyasi? Are you this? Are you that? No. I'm eternally the loving servant of the servant 100 times, the servant of Lord Krishna. He who is feeling coming to that lowest point is the highest. Because from that point, you can now fall down, Krishna, please protect me. And when you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling you have no love, but in a truest sense, your affection is so strong that you can make a stand to be humble and embrace Krishna and chant the holy names. Haribol Namaste. Haribol. Okay, let's sing and dance. Haribol ni Tagore.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa namine, Gora Karuna Sarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya.
Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya, Krishna Chaitanya, Radha Krishna Nayanya.
Bhagya Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasante Gaur Bhaktavrinda.
Radha Shri Krishna Chaitanya, Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhara, Shri Vasante Gaur Bhaktavrinda.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda
Hari
Rama,
Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana. Everybody sing it now.
Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama,
Haribol ni Tagore.
Madana Mohana,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana, Gopala Govinda Rama, Madana Mohana.
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Gopala Govinda Rama,
Hari Bol Krishna,
Madana Mohana. Jaya Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Ananda Paramahamsa. Jaya Jaya Siddhaswarupananda, Ananda Paramahamsa. Namo Siddhaswarupananda, Paramahamsa Namine, Gora Karuna Swarupaya, Radha Krishna Prestaya Te. Namo Siddhaswarupananda Paramahamsa Namine Gora Karuna Swarupaya Radha Krishna Prasayate. Bhaja Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Naradha Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrindam. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Rama